Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Feed Your Soul, brought to you by H. It's been so long since we got together like this to nourish the body and nourish the soul, but it seemed and felt like just the right time. And this is a really special episode. I always say this, but this is it's a friend of mine for a long time. It's going to be really, really fun. We're going to chit chat, we're going to bake, and I want to properly introduce her. So Amy Kritzer Becker is the founder of the award-winning cooking blog, What You Want to Eat, author of the cookbook Sweet Noshings, co-owner of the cool online Judaica store ModernTribe, and Food Network contributor. Basically, a busy gal. On her popular site, Amy provides traditional Jewish recipes with a modern twist in ingredients and styles such as fried pickle latkes or pumpkin fig rugelach. Her recipes and writings have also been featured in numerous publications and websites, including The Today Show, Cosmo, and Bon Appetit, and Amy has spoken at events around the world, from South by Southwest in Austin to Nash, Berlin, and she's even competed on an episode of Guy's Grocery Games. I'm learning so much about Amy, by the way, just from having her on the show. I didn't know about Guy's Grocery Games. I also didn't know that her last name was pronounced Kritzer, Amy Kritzer Becker. I hope I got that right the first time. I'm so pleased to welcome her all the way from Puerto Rico. You guys, please tell us where you're watching from, what you're feeling like today. And Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I'm excited to make some rugelach with you today.
Me too. Did I say it wrong the first time? Did I go back to muscle memory?
I don't know. That was a long time ago. Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
Okay,
my whole life has been that, so it's okay.
Okay. So forgive me. I feel like I've known you for over a decade as one way. I've been saying it wrong the whole way.
Yeah.
It's okay. So long, Amy. I know you so long, and now you're married, 2 years, living in Puerto Rico. I don't want to, spill any news, so I won't, say what's coming up for you. But right now we're baking together, so let's talk about the rugelach you're making.
Yeah. So today, this is a recipe from my cookbook. It's a Baklava Spiced Rugelach. So I always like to do a traditional recipe, but with a little bit of a twist. So this is that's your
signature. It's an Amy recipe when it's got that little something special.
Exactly. So I started doing that. I started my blog, blocked me a little bit, over 10 years ago. And I just was bored at work and was inspired by my bubby's recipes. So first thing, I got all of her recipes, which are all on note cards and chicken scratch and not even complete recipes. So she sent me all of those. And that's where I started my blog. But I've never been one to stick to a recipe exactly. So even in the beginning, I started tweaking her recipes a little bit. But her rugelach growing up was one of my favorites. So I'm going to make my version of it today. So first we've got
cheese there, Aim?
Yeah. So first we've got the dry ingredients, which is flour, sugar, a little bit of salt. And this version has some cardamom in it. If you aren't familiar with cardamom, I wish you could smell it. I have some here. It's one of my favorite smelling and tasting spices.
I love it.
It reminds me of a chai tea kind of smell.
Yes,
so that's going in
much.
here. Yes. And then we've got lots of butter and cream cheese.
I say everything is better with butter. So
exactly.
Just
this is not shy with the butter. So lots of butter, cream cheese. What
does Bubby say though about the way that you've riffed on her recipes?
She loves it. She is quelling. She's so proud. Yes. So I was just visiting her in Connecticut and we got to bake a little together. So always still my favorite thing to do. She's 93, which she wouldn't want me to tell you, but she's still baking.
Until 120. I love that picture. I think of you, your mom, and your bubby, before your wedding. There was some awesome picture of the 3 generations. I was I love that. How special.
Yes. For my wedding, I made my own challah, which was my rainbow challah, one of my favorite versions to make. So I made it in Connecticut with my mom and my bubby, and they carried it on the plane to Michigan where I got married. So it was a whole family affair. So here, this dough comes together so fast. I'm using food processor, cold ingredients, which is going to make a flakier dough. And I love it because you don't have to remember to take your ingredients out before you're ready to bake. So now we're just going to kind of pulse this. And just going to be a few times until it's kind of a crumbly dough.
If anyone has questions about rugelach, about baking, about Puerto Rico, or just want to say, hey, where you're just, chime in, let us know where you're watching from, how you're feeling today, and what you love to bake, your favorite Jewish dessert, just talk to us.
Yeah, I'm just adding some sour cream, which adds a little more tang, and vanilla. And this should come together.
Dina's watching from Egypt, Amy.
Oh, wow. I love that.
Yeah. We got someone from Portugal, Daniela from Portugal. I love this. Okay, so Zina's asking Amy if she doesn't have a food processor, is this possible to do by hand?
Yeah, so I have directions how you can do it with soft ingredients, or room temperature ingredients rather, with a hand mixer. If you don't have any sort of thing like that, you can use a dough kind of cutter as well.
Okay.
Or you can do it soft I don't know why I keep saying that, room temperature ingredients, and then do it by hand too. So there's options for everyone. I think my bubby probably had no fancy tools. Her bubby had no fancy tools. So there's a way. So
I was going to say my grandparents and my parents are from Transylvania. There was no food processors over
exactly.
there, so, yeah.
People always ask me, they're like, "Oh, can I do this? I don't have a fancy mixer to make challah." I said, "How do you think they've been making challah for so long before fancy like $400 mixers?" Like, yes, I actually, when I moved to Puerto Rico, I didn't bring my fancy mixer because it was so expensive to ship it, and I was planning on buying a new one, but I still haven't bought one. So I've been making my challah by hand here, and I actually kind of really love it. So.
I love that too, actually, by the way. And you can make a bigger quantity also when it's by hand. Always, the machines have a certain capacity. So
it just feels like getting your hands in there and feels like I'm a part of it.
Hands. Right.
Yes. Although I still want to buy one, but I just haven't got around to it. So now we have this crumbly dough. And what I love about this dough is it makes a ton of cookies. This is going to actually make 48. And we're going to divide.
So just enough for me and hubby.
Exactly. But what I do, so sometimes I use a food scale, sometimes I'm lazy, and divide this into 4 even-sized pieces. And you might notice there's some little like butter pieces still in here.
Yes.
That is totally okay. Those are going to taste like little buttery pockets of goodness, kind of like a pie dough. So that is fine.
I was going to say it's probably better than okay. It's probably awesome.
It's the way it should be, for sure. Yeah. So these are not totally even, but pretend they're even. And then we make discs out of them and wrap them up in foil and refrigerate them for at least a few hours or overnight, or they freeze really well for up to a few months. So what I usually do, especially during this pandemic, maybe I'll make 12 cookies for my husband and I, and then freeze the rest. And then you can always unfreeze them and make more cookies when you're ready. But we do not have to wait for this to chill because I've got one disc already ready here.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Yeah.
And so, how did you roll it out to get it there? Just so people knows how it goes from like sort of that ball of dough to a little bit, thinner.
Yeah. So usually when I put the saran wrap around it, here, I'll show you. I kind of flatten it in the saran wrap.
Okay.
And because it's going to be chilled, it's going to be cold. Not here in Puerto Rico. It's room temperature, like within seconds of bringing it out. It's always so hot. But maybe where you live. So I kind of like flatten it with my hands as I'm doing it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Even the ugly cookies will taste delicious. So just, about a circle, a rhombus, whatever you've got there. And so we want to flour. Yeah, that's my favorite shape for some reason. We're going to use a little bit of flour here.
Okay, great.
And because this is can be a little sticky of a dough, especially here in Puerto Rico. So you want to make sure it doesn't stick.
Excellent.
Just, light layer. Flour both sides. Maybe you want a little more. And then we'll roll it out to about 1/8 of an inch. I don't know how many centimeters that is. Very thin.
I love, Amy, that rolling pin. Is that available on your store, ModernTribe?
No, this one's from Anthropology, but I do have some products I can show you here from ModernTribe too. Okay. And so as I'm rolling it, I try to roll it from the middle out and make it pretty even as a circle. And then every so often, you're going to want to kind of lift it up to make sure it's not sticking too. So this has like a little, sometimes I'll flip it. This has like a little teeny sticking point, so I'll add a little flour.
Because that's the worst, when you go ahead and like
exactly.
And you can't roll them up on itself.
You can't roll it, I know. Yeah. So that's why I'll always check. Flip it a little bit. This one seems great.
I actually could see the little butter specks.
Yes. So So if you're doing it with the room temperature ingredients, you won't get those, but it'll still be delicious.
When you're making a classic rugelach, Amy, do you always put the cardamom in, or that's just because it's complementary to like the baklava?
So yeah, the cardamom I do because it's complementary to the filling that I'm about to show you. But usually I'll make the 4 discs. So sometimes I'll fill it with chocolate, and I still have the
Right.
cardamom in the dough. So I think it works
Okay.
for just about any sweet filling. The cardamom is a really nice hint.
It's funny because
not a
I
lot.
like it in my Hanukkah cookie dough. I also feel like
Yes.
it's an unexpected from someone who's not used to using it, but it's such a great addition to just a classic dough.
I'm
So I
obsessed
also
with
agree.
cardamom. Yes,
Yeah.
I used it for the first time just in some homemade whipped cream. And I was like, this is life-changing. That was back when I worked at a supermarket teaching cooking classes. Like when I first started my blog and I was in culinary school, it was honestly one of my most favorite jobs I've ever had. It was so fun. So we tried to, do simple recipes for home cooks, but, ones that were a little unique. That was in Texas.
I remember when
yes.
you lived in Texas. Oh my God.
Yes,
I feel like
I've lived
you have
all
just...
over.
What's your favorite place from all the places you've lived?
I don't know if I could pick a favorite place, but I did right out of college. I lived in New York City, and I always love visiting New York City. So it's like the we were just there recently, and like the vibe and the people and the food, it's all so good.
Yeah.
So let me tell you a little bit about
this
filling. Yeah. So I first came up with this recipe. This is when I lived in Texas, and they had asked me at the JCC if I would make a dessert for this fundraiser they were hosting, and it turns out the fundraiser was initially started out to be a Hindu fundraiser, but they outgrew their space. So they asked if they could host it at the JCC, and they said, yes, but we want to be a part of it too. So they call it the Bollywood meets Borscht Belt fundraiser. So they wanted some kind of a dessert inspired, by the Middle Eastern kind of flavors and the spices of India, and kind of just a good combo. So they thought I was a good person to come up with that. So this filling has candied ginger, more cardamom, honey. I sometimes use almonds and pistachios. Today I just used some almonds, a little bit of sugar. I think that's it. So I've got some candied ginger here if you haven't seen that before. It is a little spicy. It's delicious, even just to snack on.
I love it. Even throw that in tea, and it
the tea that's a great idea.
And then it will soften, and it will use something you could chew on after. It's fantastic.
That is a great idea. So, because I have plenty of extra, so I will definitely do some of that.
Yeah.
So now, I don't put it all the way to the edge because sometimes I do a little more, but because we're gonna roll this, and this will have lots of filling in it. We want to make sure it rolls easily. So you could do a little more to the edge than I did, but leave at least a quarter of an inch there. Okay. And then one of my other favorite tricks for rugelach is to use a pizza slicer to cut it. I just find it so much easier. And it's kind of fun. So you want to try to get these as even as possible. You can measure if you're being like really type A about it. I don't do that. And there's always one that's gigantic and one that's teeny. And then that's the one you just eat. It's fine.
Yes, correct.
So
and the calories don't count if you're standing up and it's small and you're just like eating it for quality control.
If it's you might notice it's not a full 12 over here. So there were some, So first I'm going to cut it into quarters as best as I can. So just across in one direction. And you might get a little nut there or something. Okay. And then each one of these little pie triangles here, we're going to cut into 3 more slices. So this is the hard part, I think. Let's see if I can get it kind of even. And again, you can measure it if you want them really perfect, but I find when they're a little wonky, they taste better. Yeah, I think they're kind of a rustic cookie. So I
was going to say rustic, handmade, homemade. People know you made it with love. Like I don't want perfect on the machine.
Exactly. So then we're going to start with the wide end here and just start rolling it. Oops, I messed up that cutting a little bit. See, that'll be beautiful anyway. And then you want the little point on the end. You want to tuck that under on the bottom.
Great.
And let me clear off my cutting
board.
While
you clear off, I'll just tell people. So I'm not much of a baker, although dessert is my favorite. So I'm always looking for shortcuts. So you can actually do this with like puff pastry or even pie dough, and then just do this like custom fantastic filling of Amy's. And that's like a shortcut if like making dough is a little bit scary to you, although Amy just showed us how easy it is. But I just want to give everyone that tip, and we just got a message that said the filling looks tasty, which is amazing. Like, Amy, you could just snack on that filling while you're like,
Totally, yes. It's really good over yogurt or just with a spoon. It's really good. It's got a little, crunch from the nuts, sweet from the honey, spicy from the ginger.
I love that idea of it over yogurt. Yudi Silver just said hi. Yudi's
that one was so
great
ugly.
friend and follower from Cleveland for many, many years. So thanks, Yudi. We have people watching in Toronto. Hey there.
Love the global.
Yeah, that feels really fantastic. It says more fans in Cleveland are watching. Chaya, Mushka's watching. I'm so happy that we're bringing you joy today. This is one of those like sort of classic soul food Jewish desserts, rugelach, I would say. And what are your like top three Jewish desserts that you like?
Oh, definitely rugelach. I don't know if it's a dessert, but I really have a soft spot for blintzes. I think similarly, I would make them with my mom and my bubby, and we would just fill the kitchen with pancakes. There would be some frying, some, they'd just be all over the place, and there would be different fillings, and we'd eat them hot and then freeze some other ones. So I love that. Rugelach and mandel bread were definitely the two things we made the most growing up. And then also my bubby's apple cake, which I love making for Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, Rosh Hashanah is coming up. What are your plans?
Cookies. I love everything.
Black cookies too, totally.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I just like the white part, and my husband gets really mad at me because he likes the black and white together. And
I'm like your husband, right down the middle.
Yes, correct. And I'm just like, just give me the white side.
I love them both.
So, what are you doing for Rosh Hashanah, Amy?
Well, actually, we'll be with my husband's family. So that'll be nice. Last year, it was just the two of us. The year before, it was right after our wedding. So that was a hectic time. So I'm excited to be with some family this year. So here we have our rugelach. And another trick I do with rugelach, or really every cookie, is I'll put this in the freezer for about 20 minutes before baking it. And what that does, if you've ever had, especially hamantash, and I always do this, hamantash, have you ever had, they start off a triangle and then you end up getting like a blob and you're like, well, it still tastes good. And that part of that is the baking powder, which I love to use because it makes a softer cookie, which is my preference. But part of it is because the butter is kind of soft when you put it in the oven. So by sticking it in the freezer, it chills the butter, and then the butter melts more slowly, and then you won't get these blobby cookies. The filling won't mush out or anything. It'll just be perfect, finished cookies here.
So that 20 minutes helps retain the shape of anything that is like specifically filled, and also like the shape is sort of crucial to identifying which cookie it is.
Yes, exactly. So I think that helps for keeping the shape of cookies and keeping the filling intact.
Okay.
So then your oven's preheating during the same time. Let's pretend these have chilled, and then we're just going to do an egg wash. And my egg wash, I always do a yolk with about a tablespoon of water. I think it makes it shiny, easy to get on there. I use the same one for my challah.
So this is really just like a nice glaze and shine.
It's a little glaze, and it also helps keep the rugelach together. So part of that, you have the little point. Glue. Yeah, a little glue. You have the little point piece on the bottom, which also will help. If you have that on the top, it might come unraveled a little bit.
Okay.
And then we do that, and then I'm just going to hit these with a little bit of sugar. If you have a coarse sugar, that's really nice too. It adds a little texture. Yes.
So marzipan, have you ever had the marzipan rugelach?
Yes, of course.
So they do that sugar water at the end. Yes.
I've done that so there's I think more of a yeasted kind, which I have done on a yeasted kind. For these, I have not, I've just done the egg wash and then a little sugar. But I definitely like that if you're doing a yeasted rugelach, which is also delicious. Right. And that's it.
And you just love baklava. So I love the idea of this is even an easier version than making baklava and layering the phyllo down, like layer. This is much better.
Totally. Yeah, it's got some similar flavors, but in more of a cookie form. Yeah. And then, baklava doesn't last as long. These you can freeze. You can keep them on your counter for a while. You can eat them for breakfast. They feel breakfasty to me. So.
Yeah, of course. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, really, if you ask me. Exactly, okay, so how long and at what temp?
And this is at 350 Fahrenheit for about 20 to 25 minutes, depending on your oven. I usually do 20 to 22.
Amazing. So let's see the finished product.
And then I've got some that I made yesterday. You can
get close. Yeah. Raise them up, you see. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Beautiful. And you want to just break one in half for us? So you can put the stay Adam on the overhead camera while Amy just brings it close and gives it a break.
You got, let's see, you can see that there's some kind of flaky layers in there, and then all the beautiful filling. It's really a beautiful cookie. You can also sprinkle a little powdered sugar on these before serving too.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Amy, I love that
Great.
so much. Thank you so much for showing us the
And they're delicious. Yeah.
Any questions? These are in the recipes in Amy's book, Sweet Noshings. We are also going to just like we have a few moments left, maybe like 5 minutes, Amy, to like just
Great.
chill and talk. We were able to do the recipe as quickly as possible, but we like to chit chat throughout. So I brought for the conversation, I thought since you're having rugelach, I would bring a steaming hot cup of almond milk coffee Hawaii latte. I thought that would go really well with the rugelach, and it has also.
Let me grab my drink.
Yeah, let's see what you have. I have cardamom in my Hawaii for coffee. It's like cardamom, cloves, ginger. So I thought it would really complement. Yeah.
I was thinking you should come out with a cardamom for your next spice. I have some of yours. I have your za'atar, and I was like, oh, I wish Jamie had some cardamom. I could have used that today.
So I have the Hawaii for coffee, which has like cardamom, cloves, and ginger. So I feel like that could be really delicious in the rugelach and the dough.
Yes, I think that would be really great. Actually, I love that idea.
And what do you have? You have a banana daiquiri.
This is a banana daiquiri. So actually, the pina. I live in Puerto Rico, and the pina colada was invented here. But my husband and I have kind of perfected our banana daiquiris. It's frozen banana, coconut cream, a little nutmeg, a little banana liqueur, a little rum.
Oh, just a little bit of everything. That sounds fantastic. I'm somehow now jealous again. I was like, oh, this is the perfect compliment to the rugelach. Meanwhile, we could have been having banana daiquiris together.
It's basically a smoothie, yes. Next time I see you, we can make some banana daiquiris for sure.
Any plans? You travel the world to come to Israel when the skies open? Like, what?
I would love to. I would love to come to Israel. But with ModernTribe, we buy a lot of our products from Israel. So I'd love to like see some of our vendors and see some products in person.
I remember on social, you shared a picture of you in I think it was Ben Yehuda by the like umbrellas, but I think it's like an older picture. Like, when was the last time you were here?
Let's see. I was in Israel. It was right after I met my husband. So like 3.5 years ago. Right. I just met him actually. I was like talking with the girls on my trip. It was a media trip. So we were chatting about, what do you think? What do you think about this text he sent me? So now we're married. So that was the last time I was there.
It's so fun. Oh my gosh. It's lovely.
My brother's wife is Israeli, so I'm sure they're going to try to go as soon as they can. So
amazing. And he runs ModernTribe with you.
Yes. Yeah. We're co-owners. We have owned ModernTribe for 5 years now. And it's actually, we've always been a very close family, but it's brought us even closer together. So it's been very fun, and our parents are quelling. They're very proud.
I'm sure they are. David's asking where I can find the recipe. We have the link to the recipe below, but this recipe and many other amazing are in Amy's incredible book, Sweet Noshings. So David was asking where he could find it. So Amy will show here. You can bring it closer, beautiful. And is it just desserts, Amy?
Yes, this book is all just twists on classic desserts. So it's got, instead of black and white cookies, I have a black and pink cookie, which the pink is raspberry. It's a natural pink from the raspberries. Let's see if I can find it. These are lemon mon cookies, which are my bubby's favorite. They're like a lemon poppy seed cookie. Let me find here's the black and pink cookies. These are one of my favorites. The pink is super bright, and it looks like food coloring, but it's just from raspberries. So instead of the lemon flavor,
And your famous rainbow challah, is it in the book?
The rainbow challah is not in the book, but that's on my blog. I don't know. I think I already had that recipe, so I tried to do some new recipes. So this is the rugelach we just made is in there.
Incredible. Do you ever think about doing a second book?
Yes, I'd love to. I've just been so busy with the store, and I feel like I need to come up with a really good idea. So I definitely want to do something with savory. I love doing savory recipes too. And my blog has both. Eventually I'd love to do another book for sure. I know you have so many books, you make it look easy, but it was
I'm done. I
love it. It was the most work I've ever done. So I'm like, maybe we have one more in me, but we'll see.
I really feel like I've done a lot of things in my life, by the way, and as you have too. And I feel like I've lived a lot of lifetimes, and making a book and writing a book is one of the hardest things I've ever done. It completely just takes over your life, and I just thank God I feel like I'm able to have crossed that off my bucket list a few times, and I'm good.
Yes, it was so much work and a lot of stress, and I was baking in Texas in the summers. It was hot every day, and I was giving everyone babkas every day. All my test babkas. So, but it was
nice because I just ate them all and then just gained all the weight. Literally, there are your beautiful pink and black cookies for anyone tuning in. That's actually naturally food coloring from raspberry. So I love knowing that little secret. That's amazing. And one of the most important questions I wanted to ask you is, so much of your professional life, or basically all of it, is dedicated or somehow inspired by, your Judaism. How did that become, how did your religion play such a part in your personal passion for cooking and the foods that you cook, and then really your professional life right now with, the blog, the store, and everything?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I've always loved being Jewish, and it's been a big part of my life, but I never thought it was going to be my career until later on. It probably started, I grew up in a very Jewish town in Connecticut. And then when I went to college, I went to college in Atlanta, and there were people that had never met Jews before. So that's when I started hosting seders for all my friends. And it kind of that started my journey into Jewish hosting and recipes and cooking. But then I moved to New York City. And again, I was surrounded by Jews, and I did Jewish things, but didn't think of it as my career. So it wasn't until I moved to Texas and I was not really satisfied with the job I was doing there. It wasn't as creative as what I was doing in New York. And this was 2010, 11. So food blogs were just starting to be a big thing. Yeah. And I was reading them, and I thought about starting my own. And initially I was going to do a cupcake blog. Cupcakes were very big then. And I was like, I'll do a different flavor cupcake every week. And I told my brother, who now owns the store with me, about doing that. And he usually was supportive of my weird ideas. He's more practical. I'm more of a dreamer. And he said, no, you're going to get tired of making cupcakes in a few years. And I was like, a few years? This is just like a little hobby I'm thinking of. And it was his idea to do Jewish food. And even at the time, I was kind of thinking, what is Jewish food? This is, to me, I grew up very Ashkenazi. Knishes were just food. You have knishes, you have lasagna. These are just recipes. So, but he said, ask your friends in Texas if they know about what rugelach is, what mandel bread is. And of course, no one knew. And I said, oh, this would be a really fun way to share something that I love with people that aren't as familiar. But then it just kind of took off from there. I had people who had kind of grown up Jewish, but then fallen away. We're kind of coming back to it through food. So I realized that food is this great connector. It connects people to their Judaism, but also people who aren't Jewish. It makes Judaism feel very approachable and familiar and fun. So it's been just really great. That was over 10 years ago, and it's just kind of taken off. I wouldn't say there was taken off, but it's slowly through the years, it's grown and grown into what I have today with a cookbook and ModernTribe now. And of course I have my blog with hundreds of recipes, and it's my whole passion. And I love connecting with readers online and people who say, I made your kugel, and my very tough mother-in-law loved it. And that's the first time she's ever loved my recipe. So I love hearing stuff like that, and connecting with other bloggers now. Now there's so many wonderful bloggers and Instagram personalities out there. So it's a very fun career to have and very rewarding.
I'm so happy for you, for everyone watching. This is Amy Kritzer Becker, the founder of the award-winning cooking blog, What You Want to Eat. She has her book, Sweet Noshings. She has the coolest Jewish gift store, ModernTribe. I just so thrilled for you that you've made your passion your professional life, and you just seem to be living a beautiful marriage of being able to bring something so personal and so beautiful to the masses, and educate them in such a fun kind of way. So I think it's incredible. I do agree, food is the ultimate unifier, and I love how you just wear your Judaism so loud and so proud. And
I didn't even see my big Jewish earrings today.
Oh, let me see. What are they? These
are from Ariel Titar. They're giant hamsa with Star of David's in the middle. So
awesome.
Yes. Not subtle.
I didn't want to, it's funny. I wasn't going to go here, and I really was just going to end. But just because you just brought it up, and I said it, wearing it loud and proud, have you had any kind of experience with anti-Semitism or anything being in Puerto Rico, like a unique sort of space in the world where we don't hear a lot of news of the Jewish community coming out of there? Like the fact that you're so open and so proudly Jewish, and anything like that happening over there?
Yeah, no. I mean, people in Puerto Rico, I think, are very open to all religions. There's Jews here. I live 2 blocks from a synagogue, actually a beautiful synagogue, all stained glass in the front.
Wow.
2 blocks from the ocean. During Hurricane Maria, not one piece of glass broke.
Wow.
Crazy. So that was a cool story. But no, before the pandemic, we invited some of our new friends here over for our Passover Seder, and they just loved it. We're so welcoming. I think they were a little nervous of how long the Seder would last, but our Seders are a little shorter, I think, than the average. So it was a lot of fun, and of course we had 4 glasses of wine, so everyone was having a good time. So it's.
I was going to say, you just have to tell them
yeah.
that's happening too, so you can get them to say,
I did tell them, but then they Googled it. I was like, don't Google, like you won't get like what my Seder's like based on Googling. So, but yeah, everyone had a great time, and I actually love inviting non-Jews over to Seders because they ask all the best questions. I feel like we've done so many, and someone who's new, says, why do we do this? What does this mean? And there's so much meaning and symbolism that I think that's always been something like very, very fun for me. But no, I've met a great crowd of bloggers here in Puerto Rico, and they're all just very welcoming and interesting people, and the food here is great, and the warm beach is great, so it's all good. Actually, it's funny. I was sitting in Starbucks once, and I overheard this guy speaking in Spanish about Rosh Hashanah, his Rosh Hashanah dinner, and I was like, oh, like, should I say so? Is that weird? And I'm like, hey, hey, Jew.
Right.
I was like, I didn't want to be weird, but I kind of did want to be weird. But
right. I was going to say, I feel like that though you can, because it's like family coming together. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I totally think it could be weird if that ever happens again in the future.
Yeah, so. I mean, next time I'll say something.
Okay, Amy, thank you so much for joining. I've been wanting to have you on the show for so long. It took us a while to coordinate, so it means a lot that we squeezed it in right before
so glad
Rosh
you invited
Hashanah.
me. Yes,
now, God willing, people will have the spiced Baklava Rugelach on their Rosh Hashanah table, and I want to wish you, Amy, Shana Tova U'Metuka from Israel.
Bye. Thank you, Jamie.
Bye. All right, guys. So that was Feed Your Soul. Here's a little sweet Rosh Hashanah recipe with a twist. I hope that you enjoy it. Let us know the types of recipes you'd like to see, the guests you'd like us to have on. Thank you, Sarah. Say hey to you in South Florida. Sending you all love from Israel. Elizabeth, love from Israel to Italy to you. And have a wonderful day.